Here I have the two top APS-C crop sensor mirrorless cameras that's currently available right now. The Fujifilm X-T4 and the Sony A6600. We're gonna be doing a few comparisons today, and if you happen to be in the market for one of these two cameras, maybe this review will help you out. Roll it.
Resume is a heavyweight, yeah. Put it on my back, give me everything, yeah. I need everything, I need all of everything, yeah.
All right, we are now shooting on both cameras, and you're probably not gonna see them for the rest of this video. We got the Fujifilm X-T3 right there, and we have the Sony A6600 right there. All right, so there's a lot going on here. A lot of differences in specs and design, so I'm not gonna dive deep into every single spec and feature that both of these cameras offer. We'll be here for hours. But if you want a side-by-side comparison, here's how they're listed on B&H Photo, which, by the way, I want to thank for hooking me up with the Fujifilm X-T4. I'll leave links in the description for everything in this video to B&H, who, by the way, is shipping a lot faster than Amazon is right now. I usually get my orders in like 1 to 2 days, so if you like fast shipping and a 30-day return policy, then B&H is the spot. All right, so both shoot 4K. The Sony shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second at up to 100 megabits per second. The X-T4 shoots up to 4K 60 frames per second, up to 400 megabits per second. The X-T4 shoots 10-bit, the Sony shoots 8-bit. Both cameras have flip screens. The Sony flips up, the Fuji flips out. Both cameras have in-body image stabilization, and we'll take a look at that comparison in a little bit. However, on top of the IBIS, the X-T4 also offers digital IS, which I'm starting to believe can be, if done properly, more effective than just in-body image stabilization. We've seen some electronic image stabilizations do some really impressive things. Both cameras have good autofocus. Both cameras have good eye autofocus. Both have high frame rate options available. The Fuji does 1080p up to 240 frames per second, and again 4K up to 60 frames per second, whereas the Sony does 120 frames per second at 1080p, and that's about as good as it gets. Both have newer, bigger batteries that significantly outperform the previous model, so battery life is pretty good on both of these cameras. They both have the same full frame equivalent of a 1.5 times crop, so right now on both cameras we have a 16mm at f1.4, which equals out to 24mm. Fujifilm really prides themselves on their film emulations, and rightfully so, they're pretty cool. And for Sony, they pride themselves on their picture profiles. They have a ton of flat and log profiles, a million options, a million different combinations, fully customizable. The X-T4 goes for $1,700 body only, US. And the A6600 goes for $1,200 body only, US. They're both phenomenal cameras. It's really just about which one suits you best. Which one works best for you and your workflow. Sony's definitely like the more popular kid in school. Everyone loves Sony. Meanwhile, Fuji's over there in the corner just quietly getting buff. Just getting real flexible, real good and flexy. About to drop a split on them hoes. And realistically, that's the kid in school that you really want to be friends with. That shit don't apply at all. But at the same time, you kind of know what I'm saying, don't you? Dropping wisdom about the envision of these camera systems, the things you might be missing if you wasn't listening. Sony sharp like incision, Fuji seems like they listen, so your mission is to make the final decision. Oh, damn. Let me stop before I get demonetized for killing this shit. All right, comparison time. First up, image stabilization. All right, now here is the Sony A6600. We have IBIS. We have no digital image stabilization, and the lens isn't stabilized. But like I've said in past videos, I've had stabilized lens. I've had the 10 to 18mm f4, and it was stabilized, and it really doesn't make much of a difference. I feel like if they don't do something about it quick, a lot more people are going to be switching over to other manufacturers, because it makes it hard to just pick up your camera, leave the house, and do what you got to do with just your camera in your hand. You need to set up some kind of stabilizer. You need to have maybe a tripod with you. You can't just hand hold it or throw it on a little grip, take it from the studio outside, and not have to do any extra work. You got to do extra work. And unfortunately right now, if you want to vlog with pretty much any Sony camera except for like the new ZV-1, you're going to have to deal with bad image stabilization. There's a good chance that I would have never left Sony if they had really good image stabilization, but unfortunately, as of right now, that ain't the case. Here's the Fujifilm X-T4. We have the 16mm f1.4 on here, and that is not image stabilized, so the tests are pretty fair. Both cameras have in-body image stabilization. Both cameras don't have a lens that's stabilized. The Fujifilm has digital image stabilization. The Sony A6600 doesn't. Now, does this camera have really smooth image stabilization? No, it's not anywhere near the best I've seen, but it's a lot better than the A6600 and pretty much every other Sony camera out there. But you guys let me know what you think down below. What's your opinions on this? As you can see, neither were amazing, but the X-T4 definitely did significantly better in my opinion. Autofocus. I actually think the Fuji was a little bit quicker right there. Huh, I think the Fuji was a little bit quicker right there too. Okay. I think in a lot of situations, the Fuji locked on a little bit quicker. It kind of found me and grabbed me a little bit faster, but the Sony's is just, seems like it's a little bit more reliable. Never ever, not never ever, do I ever never question Sony's autofocus, especially in all their newest cameras. I completely trust it. I personally think, even though I'm a Canon shooter, that Sony has the best autofocus in the business and best tracking autofocus in the business. All right, now let's get into the slow. I'm just kidding with you. Roll the slow-mo comparisons between these cameras. Alright, so final thoughts on both cameras. Here is my opinion on who should maybe buy what camera. If you're a set shooter, meaning you're always on a tripod, you're always in a studio situation, you're not grabbing your camera and running out and just bringing it with you at the drop of a dime and just carrying it everywhere you go, then I think it's perfectly fine to choose the Sony over the Fujifilm. You're saving $500, but if you're gonna go that route, then I really think you should just pick up the Sony A6400, because you're gonna save an additional $400 on top of the $500 difference between the A6600 and the X-T4, and really you're kind of getting the same camera for a lot cheaper. You're just adding better battery life and IBIS. But if you are hand-holding, if you are out on the move, if you're the type of person that always keeps their camera with you at all times like I do, for the most part, I'm in the studio, I'm on the tripod, I'm stable, I'm steady, then I'm out, I'm moving, I need stabilization. I can't deal with constant rolling shutter. That's another thing that Sony suffers from very badly, is really bad rolling shutter. The Fujifilm, not so much. If you like higher bit rates, if you like to play with colors and shoot in log and then do a lot of heavy color grading, then the Fujifilm X-T4 is definitely the right choice between these two cameras. Overall, in my honest opinion, the X-T4 is just a much more polished and capable camera as opposed to the A6600. You're definitely paying more, but you're definitely getting more. All right, my memory just filled up on the X-T4. I guess we can categorize that as a win for Sony, because I was just about to say, you get better image stabilization and you get much higher bit rates with the Fujifilm over the Sony. And I ain't putting a damn brand new SD card in here. We're pretty much finished. So we'll just let Sony finish me off. What's up, Sony? But yeah, with the X-T4, you're getting a bigger lens selection, you're getting better image stabilization, you're getting higher bit rates, 10-bit versus 8-bit, 4K up to 60 frames per second, versus 4K up to 30 frames per second. In all honesty, the X-T4 is everything that I was hoping the A6600 was gonna be when it was announced, but maybe next time. Thumbs up if you like this video. If you are not yet subscribed, please do so. I'd appreciate it highly. I got a new end screen, so you guys are gonna see it right now. Salute.
I want everything. That's on everything. It's like a wedding.